Trying to lose weight? It's time to try Hers. At forhers.com/4u, you can access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss treatments tailored just for you. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full upfront. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims and Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Super Sale and get 40% off paints and stains September 19th through the 24th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Hey, this is Brian, wanting to let you know that the MovieFilm podcast now has a Patreon. If you head over to patreon.com/moviefilm podcast and hit subscribe for only $5 a month, you'll gain access to a special feed where you'll find every commentary we've ever recorded and every episode we do moving forward, ad-free and without any interruptions. We are very grateful for our sponsors, and our free feed isn't going anywhere. But we wanted to offer an option we believe is the most satisfying way to enjoy the show. No ads, no interruptions. Your subscription will also go a long way in helping to support us and helping to sustain production of this show. So, if you're interested and able and want to enjoy the most satisfying way to enjoy the podcast, please head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and subscribe. We'd be very grateful. And now, on with the show.
Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. It's episode 326, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. I'm Zachy Hassan. I'm here with Brian Hall.
Hey, how's it going, Zachy?
Hey, there are, what is the saying? You know, there are some weeks where decades happen.
Yes.
And it does feel a little bit like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'll get into it, but I'm going to talk briefly about the movie The Long Walk.
Yes.
And that came at the end of a day where I was like, what a day, but it really felt like, what a week, and maybe even more like, what a month. And then it's a horror film, I suppose, if it had to be in the video store. You know, that's the section it would fall under. And so I realized as I was walking to the screening room that there was going to be 25 minutes of horror trailers before it. And I was like, not today. I walked, I was like, no. And I sat in a chair, and I know at my theater, you can set your watch to it. There's 25 minutes of ads and trailers before the film. And so I just sat till it was about 22, 23 minutes. And then I walked in.
That's
I was like,
really funny.
I don't need any more ounces of this. It's just,
I mean, I had planned to watch that movie, and I'd still like to, but it was that was my just this week. I'm like, I just don't have it in me.
Yeah. And I saw it because you said you were going to see it.
I know that's the real shitty thing in all of this.
No, it's fine. But actually, I like the approach we're taking because, these days have felt pretty heavy, and that movie is just, the timing couldn't have been crazier because it is a remarkably heavy movie. And I think you and I were like, let's celebrate something today. And I couldn't have been more on board for that. I'm glad that's the approach we're taking.
We are going to celebrate a true legend, a one-of-a-kind legend, the likes of which we'll never see again. Mm-hmm. But that's going to be in the second half of the show.
Yep.
What did you think of The Long Walk, though?
It's like, it's actually a tricky movie for me to sum up how I felt about it. I'll say this. I didn't have a lot of interest in it because for people who don't know, the premise, this is a very early Stephen King story, an adaptation. And it's basically about like an alternate United States after some, like a second civil war. And as a way of...
So it's set like 2 years from now.
I know, right? I mean, seriously, the timing and the feel of this movie just couldn't have come at a worse moment. But like, it's basically about, as a way to rally or inspire the country for reasons I still don't entirely understand, they take a kid from each state. So like 18 to 21, 22-year-olds, 50 kids, and they go on a long walk. And they're these soldiers with machine guns pointed at them and cameras pointed at them. Apparently people are watching this, and they walk until they can walk no more. And if you can't walk any longer, you get shot in the head. So that's the plot.
Cool.
And so seeing this trailer, I was like, look, it's got some good actors in there. Cooper Hoffman, and then, oh shoot, what's the guy's name? The guy he was in Alien Romulus, which I didn't recognize him because he played like a android in that, or a synthetic or whatever they're called. And no, that's Blade Runner. David,
Replicant is Blade Runner.
Oh, Replicant. You're right. I'm confusing my 80s sci-fi.
Get with it.
But David Johnson, I guess.
Yes, that's right.
He totally pops in this movie. And so I Googled him, like, what has he been in anything? And then saw, he's the guy who totally popped in Alien Romulus too. So
yeah,
this guy's a star. I can't wait to see what else he does. But anyway, the premise though, I was like, do I really want to spend an hour and 50 minutes just getting to know 50 kids to watch them all die?
Oh, jeez.
And so, but then the reviews were pretty positive. So I was like, all right, well, maybe there's something to this, right? It's sitting somewhere around 88% right now. And I would say it's very watchable. Okay. I mean, you do get to enjoy the camaraderie of these kids, but which is also what makes it devastating, because then you're going to watch them all die. And I would say it has strong moments. There's emotional moments that are really potent and sweet and tender. And there's something nice about seeing a bunch of boys being tender, sure. and building a camaraderie and looking out for one another and sticking up for one another, which you don't see a lot, in stories. And so, but at other times, it felt a little clunky and cliched, and some of the characters are big cliched type people. And Mark Hamill as the major, who's the guy who's overseeing this and, overseeing all these kids being killed. I like Mark Hamill, but like, I don't know that he was rightly cast here. It almost felt like he was playing dress up a little bit in this role. Like I was picturing more someone like, can you help me with the name? The guy from Avatar.
Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's like Mark Hamill puffing his chest and playing a Stephen Lang type.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, and he's also kind of he's a key to this story. And there were times when I even forgot he was there. So it's a little clunky. And even the metaphor itself, I mean, you can kind of apply what you would like to think about it. Like maybe it's the grind of living in modern society, or maybe it's capitalism. And, you just go on this long walk and then eventually you die. I don't know, but it wasn't particularly clear. And then when you get to the end and it is what it is, I was like, so look, it had its moments. The actors did a pretty good job, but it was, a little bit of a mixed bag for me. And at the end of the day, what am I walking away with here? So it's hard to recommend, while still at the same time, I have to admit, it was very watchable. It was more watchable than I expected. So, if you're up for the bleakness, or you have an interest in the story, or if you read the book and you're curious about it, you might find some things here to go, all right, well then I chose to experience this, and, but I wouldn't say it's something for anyone to casually walk into.
Okay.
Okay. It's really hard, because I regret watching it? No. Like there was some interesting moments and some good performances, and I would say the third act, and I'm not speaking about how the movie ends, but the third act itself, when things start to really come to a head and what's going to happen, and watching whoever is left interact with one another, I was like leaning forward more than I had for most of the movie, because it was really potent.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I mean, what's it really all about? So, you know what I mean? Kind of a mixed bag. Like some of it well done, some of it not as well done, but a hard movie to recommend at the end of the day.
Okay.
So, The Long Walk.
That was a short walk.
Yes. I will say, I'll get to something a little more upbeat in a second, but I do want to call out, I've been talking about the Regal, at least by my place. I don't know that everyone's doing this. They're doing a flashback series for the month of September. Sometimes they'll do every Wednesday, they'll show an old movie or a Christopher Nolan movie or something. But this is literally every single day in September, almost. They're showing a classic. And I talked about seeing Paper Moon, I think, by the last episode. But since I've seen Interstellar, which, I mean, geez, it's one of those movies I remember liking in 2014, but you watch it now and you're like, what a towering achievement this movie is.
I like it more every time I watch it.
Yeah, and that was really special getting to see that on the big screen. Then I watched The Godfather, which was very special on the big screen. And I had a moment where I saw it and then I came home and it was on TV. And so I TV, quote unquote, people know I've cut cable, but it was on Pluto. And but it was weird. It was trippy to see what I had just seen look so small all of a sudden, which made me greater appreciate, wow, how amazing I got to see it so big. Totally. And with surround sound and all that. So that was special. Saw Citizen Kane, which was really amazing on the big screen. For a movie that gets praised so much for its visuals, that was really special. I love that movie.
You don't think either of those movies insist upon themselves?
I know Citizen Kane. Well, Godfather, of course, is the movie that gets called out for that. No, I think maybe because it is a good movie. I think maybe you could get annoyed with people who are very emphatic about it,
right?
Or they insist upon it. But I do think it's a really amazing movie, and I'm glad that it teed me up to now I want to watch Godfather 2 and 3 because it's been a while.
When you watch 3, I just want to say, I would say watch the original theatrical cut instead of the Death of Michael Corleone version.
Which, by the way, speaking of Pluto, they are showing all the Godfather movies a lot lately, and they are showing the new cut of Godfather 3.
I know, because they've memory hold the original one.
Wow. So you think this is it is the George Lucas special editions of Star Wars now? Like this is the Godfather 3 they will show for...
In essence, yes. However, they have not made it completely unavailable. So for like the recent 4K set of the Godfather films that they came out with, the trilogy is 1, 2, and The Death of Michael Corleone. But if you look on there's a bonus features disc, and it has the original cut of Godfather 3 in 4K.
Wow, as a bonus feature.
Can you believe that? Meanwhile, as far as digital purchase and things like that, it's not available. I happen to have it in my Vudu locker because I bought the previous version of the Godfather trilogy.
So they don't update that.
Right.
Like the Vudu, what you bought.
So because I already purchased it, I still have it.
Well, that's a nice case for digital purchases. In this moment where people are some people are a little wary about it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'll do. And I mean, people know I like to use your Vudu from time to time, and also I do have the Blu-rays, so I'll definitely watch the original cut of that. But yeah,
well, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no.
I think here's the problem. First of all, I love both of those movies, just to be clear, Citizen Kane and Godfather. I was joking when I said insisting upon, but I think the problem is whenever people put it on, they're like, I'm about to show you one of the greatest movies ever made.
Right.
And it's like, well, don't do that.
Right.
Just be like, here's a good movie,
100%. Which I was going to say, speaking of Francis Ford Coppola and recutting his films. So today, September 19th, my brother's birthday, by the way. So happy birthday, Dan. There's a documentary coming out called Mega Doc.
Well, I know what you and your brother are doing tonight.
Yeah, can you imagine? So it's a documentary. I don't know if it's a fly on the wall, but I've heard it's pretty intimate. Someone got to follow the making of Megalopolis.
Well, it's Mike Figgis, right?
That's right.
director.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And I hear it's gotten pretty good reviews, and I actually looked it up, and it's not playing near me. So I was like, ugh, like I want to see it, but anyway. Following that news, Coppola said that people are wondering why Megalopolis isn't streaming, at least in the US. It's not streaming or available for physical purchase. And he's like, well, I'm recutting an even crazier
and then
version.
once they watch it, they'll be like, oh.
right. But he's already, I mean, it came out this year and he's already recutting it and going to put out a new version apparently by this Christmas. So I'm just throwing that out there. Who knows which one will be the bonus feature if there ever is a disc with bonus features on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Citizen Kane, I think is really great. I think any resistance to that movie may be for the reasons you just said, where people are like, oh, do you want to see the greatest film ever made? And it's like, don't put that pressure on it. It's just, it's certainly one of the most innovative movies ever made. And
right.
movies today have a lot to thank because of the innovations and ideas that Orson Welles did in that movie. But I do think it's a very good movie. And I do even think for a modern audience, if they go into it with an open mind, a willingness, like I think he's still Charles Foster Kane is a really compelling character. The mystery is really interesting. It's got a lot of great moments.
I do think, see, it's interesting because first time I saw it, I was in high school and I liked it. Like I for sure liked it. So it wasn't even like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
But I do think, I mean, I've got a couple decades of experience since then, and I've come to appreciate it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously knowing the history of, William Randolph Hearst and who it's meant to be an evocation of, but the more general sense of, somebody who can have everything and yet have nothing, that rings in a much more resonant way now.
Absolutely. And we know a lot more about C. Montgomery Burns. And so we can appreciate the parallels between.
I was reading a thing, and it was probably just like a tabloidy type thing about how Jeff Bezos is trying to get his wife Lauren Sanchez into the next Bond movie.
Oh yes, yes. And in Citizen Kane, for people who don't know, Kane marries this singer, and he is determined to make her an opera star. So he builds her an opera house and he makes her perform in this opera, and people think she's terrible.
Yeah.
And she wants to quit, but he's like, no, he's like willing it.
That scene where like he's the only one applauding.
Yes. Which is a meme I think people have probably seen.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, this movie's really good for people who haven't seen it. And the reason I bring up Mr. Burns from The Simpsons is I didn't realize it as I was growing up, but I mean, you could probably do a side-by-side of scenes from The Simpsons riffing on Citizen Kane very specifically, and the actual scenes from Citizen Kane. I wonder how many minutes you could see that they recreated through the history of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So when I watched Citizen Kane for the first time in college, I couldn't believe how many moments I already knew.
That's so funny. The other thing, by the way, Orson Welles was in his 20s in that movie.
It's infuriating.
Right?
Yeah.
And not just the behind the scenes, but the way he portrays this character from youth to death. Amazing.
Absolutely. Yep. He's got a real grasp on that character in every phase of his life.
Yeah.
For someone who was like 27 or 29 or whatever it is. Yeah. But I mean, that was really special. I never thought that's something I'd get to see in a modern movie theater. Real quick, I'll just rattle off too. I saw Forrest Gump, which I really, really enjoyed. That was a weird moment for me because Citizen Kane, Godfather, of course, seeing those as classic films, but I remember seeing Forrest Gump, as a 14-year-old. And so seeing it on the big screen again brought back, teenage memories. And it was weird to think that now it's like some sort of 30-year-old classic. I had like a weird existential moment with that. But that
did you have new appreciation for the villainous Jenny?
a little bit. You know, like I mean, I will say there's. I've always found Jenny to be a fascinating character, and I don't think she's easy to paint with, you know, just her being black or white. And certainly seeing it when you're 14 is one thing. I mean, not just Jenny, but the film itself. Like seeing it as a 14-year-old and then seeing it again at 45 is really something. And it's interesting, more things that you bring to it. And I know it has its detractors, and I wouldn't argue with them. Like it's a personal thing, the opinion, but I just think it's really...
if I may, Brian.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think the contrast of A Long Life as depicted in Citizen Kane versus Forrest Gump could not be a more, this is how you want to be, this is how you don't want to be.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I really do hope we do a commentary for that at some point, because
I expect we'll do both of them, to be honest.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's more there to Forrest Gump than some people give it credit for. And I do think it is an incredible achievement. I mean, that's one of those movies that, speaking of, I say speaking of, I'm talking about something I said in another episode weeks ago. Like walking a tightrope. You know, I just think that movie is a real tightrope. And for some people, they would argue that, you know, Zemeckis slipped a little bit, but I just feel like it could have either been really too solemn or like really stupid and ridiculous. Yeah. And like, right. I'm revisiting it recently with all my attention on it. I was just really wowed by it. Also real fast, I saw Sunset Boulevard, which I'd seen before, but is just another thing to get to watch it and just really focus on it. And I knew that I really liked that movie, but I was like, man, this movie's depressing.
Yeah.
It's really sad, but also in a meta way, it's kind of impressive.
That's Billy Wilder, right?
Billy Wilder. Yeah. Sorry, I could probably talk for like an hour and a half about all the things I've seen, so I'll speed it up a little bit. But Sunset Boulevard, really good for people who haven't seen it. And then I'm seeing Psycho tonight.
Oh, nice.
With Chad, which I've seen actually a couple times. I've seen that at screened, but it never gets old.
I screen Psycho for my students, and the great thing about that movie now is it's old enough where people don't know that Norman.
Oh, that's amazing,
right? And so that's like a neat surprise. And like when I saw Psycho, I knew already. Like when we were growing up, everybody knew Norman Bates is the villain in Psycho.
Right.
So I don't know if that's a spoiler right now that I just said it, but I feel like anybody listening to this knows.
But just the filmmaking alone, the performances, the tension, the twists and turns. There's other twists and turns that happen in that movie.
That is true.
So sometimes you have to forgive a movie a little bit for its pacing, just because it comes from a different era.
Right.
But I think Psycho, it's not hyperkinetic or mile a minute like a horror movie today, but I do think it moves at a clip that if you were to show it to like your teenagers or something like that, they might be a little resistant at first, but I think they would get engrossed.
I agree.
And then just the ones for people who have these theaters nearby, what's left, which I'm really excited about, Cinema Paradiso, which I've never seen, and I'm psyched to see. Casablanca, 2001, Lawrence of Arabia, and then I'm hoping to catch There Will Be Blood. So,
you got some good movies in your future.
What an incredible series! I mean, I hope they do this again. And speaking of Paul Thomas Anderson, I am really excited about One Battle After Another.
Same. Because,
those trailers, I think we might have talked about it. They were doing very little for me. I couldn't, right? Like I couldn't tell what the movie was about. The tone was a little odd. I was literally only going to show up because it was Paul Thomas Anderson and just trust.
I mean, the trailers didn't turn me off, but it was more like, I'll be watching that.
Yeah, I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And he was the draw. He was why I was going to show up. But
him and Leo.
Yeah, and Leo, of course. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, feel what you want about him, but like he always picks interesting projects.
Exactly.
Like if he's in it, it's probably going to be interesting.
Right.
And then now seeing the reviews start to trickle in where they're all like 5 out of 5, I'm very excited. But the last thing I'll talk about, because I want to get to what you've been watching. I saw Spinal Tap 2.
Oh, so you're the one.
I'm the one. So, context about my screening. Out here, they showed it at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood before it was going to come out. So it was like a night or two before it actually came out in theaters. And there was a Q&A with Rob Reiner and the lads in character. So nice. Rob Reiner was playing Marty DeBurgi.
Okay.
And Christopher Guest was, they're all wearing wigs, Nigel Tufnell and David St. Hubbins and all those people. So needless to say, I mean, this thing was sold out and it was a huge crowd at this magnificent theater and on an IMAX screen. And so and I should say, this is Spinal Tap from 1984. I've loved for many, many years. I'm a big fan. And I should also say I worked for Christopher Guest for a little over a year. So I actually knew him personally for a while. All that said, I went in very nervous because, I mean, a lot of these Lego sequels, Happy Gilmore 2, I know some people liked it, and I didn't hate it, but it was also like, I don't view this as an actual movie, like a legit sequel to a comedy from 1990 something that I love. This just feels more like a Netflix variety special release where Adam Sandler pretends to be a character and then it's just stuffed with cameos and or Dumb and Dumber 2 TO is a good example of this, where it's like, wow, a new Dumb and Dumber and Jim Carrey and oh my gosh,
Jeff
Daniels. Yeah, I was gonna say Daniels something and I couldn't get it out of my head. Are back, and then you watch it and you're like, oh wow, this is not just like not good, like this is bad. So sometimes you can't go home, right?
That's right.
And time has passed, humor has changed, and it's almost sad to see these people that you really loved older and not doing well, like flailing on screen. So anyway, I went into this very nervous, and I'm happy to report I really like this movie.
Wow. Yeah, now, the consensus, the general consensus seems to be a pretty positive one.
You know what? I bring up all the context earlier because, like I said, I was with a crowded theater of willing fans, willing audience members there who wanted to be there and wanted to love it. So I may have got swept up in something to a degree, but I know for sure, that aside, there were moments I laughed where other people didn't laugh. Like I was laughing at certain things because they were just so nuanced and small little moments. And so I don't think this is for everybody. Like, I don't think if someone's looking for a funny thing on a Friday night and they have no context for Spinal Tap or haven't seen the first one, I don't know what they're going to feel about this. But for people who are fans, knowing that this movie, I don't think it's as funny as the first one. It's just different. It's like it's our mantra, isn't it, Zachy?
Pretty much.
But if you don't go in expecting the same thing, which is good, you don't want the sequel to be the exact same thing. There's like a different context. There's a different story. They are older. That plays into it, but it's just more them being those characters. And they have these little set pieces that are, I think are pretty funny, and they might not make you laugh as hard because you haven't been laughing at the moment for 30 years at this point. But I was really, really relieved and happy that I thought it was pretty fun. So, yeah, Spinal Tap 2. I mean, I would say catch it in theaters if you can, but I don't know if that's possible.
I don't think you can.
Yeah. I mean, I listened to another podcast and someone went to see it opening night and they said they were the only one in the theater.
I mean, look, this one is probably like, I think they knew going in that theatrical was a loss leader. And I think the mere existence of the movie is the win.
I think so too. I think fans will find it. It'll stream. It'll make its money back that way. But it's just, I think it's nice that it's there. I mean, really, I would think of it as an accompaniment and not like another thing that needs to stand next to something that is beloved. And I think in viewing it that way, I found it to be a pleasant surprise. And I laughed enough to recommend it to people who are fans of Spinal Tap 1. So.
By the way, I don't know if you had this experience, but for me, my first exposure to Spinal Tap was there on The Simpsons.
100%.
Right, when Bart goes to the concert. And I thought they were a real band. I had no idea that it was, I saw the movie later and then I realized it was a mockumentary. But when I watched The Simpsons, I just thought it was a real band.
I found it confusing because I think I didn't think they were a real band.
Uh-huh.
Like I hadn't heard of them,
Okay.
but they clearly were different voices than the regular cast.
Oh, interesting.
And they spent so much time on them that I was just confused by it all.
That's so funny.
Although I thought it was funny. And so then, I eventually saw Spinal Tap. And I mean, just a personal anecdote. I have this memory of being like a boy, like maybe, I don't know, 10 or something. And I had seen Spinal Tap. And I was sitting in church. And, you're sitting in a pew and you got to be quiet. And suddenly I remembered the moment from Spinal Tap where Christopher Guest in character is talking about his trademark is his solos.
Mm-hmm.
And then you cut to this moment of him on stage and he's just making noise. And then he takes this violin and starts rubbing it against his guitar as if that's doing something unique and interesting. And then he like looks at the violin for a second and studies it. And then he tweaks the tuning as if that's going to fit, like make something even different. And it's just, and then it just hard cuts away from that. And I remember bursting out laughing, just thinking about that moment and like my family being like, what are you, why is Brian laughing? But,
and then you're like, I was thinking of Spinal Tap. And they're like, no, what were you really thinking of?
Right. But anyway, I love that movie. Anyway, so for people who know, like Christopher Guest and seen Best in Show, Mighty Wind, who maybe haven't seen Spinal Tap, I definitely recommend it.
There we go.
So how about you? What have you been
so I've seen a couple of documentaries. I saw one documentary that kind of everybody's been talking about, which is the Unknown Caller one from Netflix. It's the high school catfish or something like that. And this was,
okay.
This was the documentary was not on my radar, but enough of my students brought it up that I put it on, and it is a true story. But I read the story that inspired the documentary like a year and a half ago, and it was fascinating. It was a real deep dive, long form piece, and it was really engrossing. And then I forgot about it. And so this, as I was watching it, I was like, oh wait, I know this, So I kind of, and it builds up to an ending that if you don't, it's meant to be kind of a twist. So the gist of it is that you've got a high school girl and her boyfriend who start receiving these harassing text messages that are like, everybody hates you and like you should break up with each other, and like the person sending the text is implying that they're having a relationship with a boyfriend, and it's like very messed up, right? And eventually, I mean, it's so voluminous. We're talking like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of text messages. This poor girl's self-esteem is just getting destroyed. The couple ends up breaking up, and the school administration gets involved, and it's various twists and turns. And then it lands somewhere where, it certainly an indictment of society, I suppose, in many ways. I don't even know what it says, but it is worth watching. If you don't know the story, it's worth watching just to get to the end.
Okay. I do. Unfortunately, I know how this ends, but
yeah, I mean, it's pretty screwed up,
pretty
right?
Twisted.
Yeah.
Okay, but you found this was
I like personally. So I knew again, this is like as I'm like halfway through the doc, and then I'm like, oh wait, I know this, and then I was like, wait, I know how it ended,
right?
And so then I was just kind of going through the paces. But if you don't know, I would assume it's a pretty good twist. It does sort of it doesn't go as deep as I would have liked into the story, but the doc is about 90 minutes, which I feel like that's probably the right length. Like I don't need 4 episodes about this,
Yeah. So as they tend to do sometimes.
Exactly.
But that's good. Well, that's good to know. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I will just very, very briefly. But I watched the AKA Charlie Sheen documentary.
Oh, yeah. Is that good?
Yes, actually. Okay. And the reason you just jogged my memory on it was it's 2 episodes. So like 2 feature-length episodes.
So 3 hours total.
3 hours total. And it didn't hold me back, but I did. I was like, oh, that's so interesting when they do that. Are they dragging it out? Mm-hmm. Is there some sort of psychological thing they think about people seeing there's 2 episodes that is more compelling than if it was just 1? Anyway, but I didn't think it wasted any time. I actually found the whole thing pretty compelling, and it really made me like Charlie Sheen. Like,
really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously done a lot of inexcusable things. I'm not saying that I approve of all of his behavior, but you can understand why people are so drawn to him. Like watching him in
He's
this
a charismatic
moment,
guy.
very charismatic, seems like a nice guy. I mean, he's got his demons. That's the thing, right? But you can see why so many people fell in love with him. You can see why so many people want to be buddies with him. I mean, I found myself wishing I like kind of knew him. Like he just seems like, but he's got the dark side, you know, and it seems like in this moment when they were recording it, he could be reflective about it and, you know, regret it and be able to speak about it and comment on it and everything. But it's I don't know. I guess I didn't really know a lot about him. And
sure,
you know, you see Martin Sheen just seems like the nicest dad, you know, like always showing up whenever Charlie needed help, like just going the extra mile, always being there for him. You know, maybe not always, I don't know, but in this glimpse of their relationship, it was kind of sweet. And so anyway, yeah, I think for anyone who's kind of curious, like it doesn't get very sensational too, which I appreciated. Like it didn't go like, now here's the crazy chapter. You ready to get crazy? Like it observes it rather than revels in it, which I appreciate that choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was a moment, right? I mean, whatever that was, early 2010s, where it was like, holy crap, every night Charlie Sheen saying something crazier.
Winning.
Yeah. You know, and Tiger's Blood and all that stuff.
That's all. He's in the throes of his addiction. He walks away from being the highest paid actor on television.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was on 2.5 Men. And I mean, it became kind of a joke. And, you know, people had death pools about how long Charlie Sheen would make it, you know?
That and management came to him and was like, you should do a tour. Like you're losing your mind and people will pay to watch it. And so he does. He goes like multi-city tours and there's people filling auditoriums wearing hats that say winning and by winning. Because people were saying, are you bipolar? And so he made a hat that said, I'm by winning. You know, and it reminds me of those sort of Britney Spears, you know, Paris Hilton, Lindsay Lohan days where it's like these human beings are breaking and everyone can't get enough pictures of it.
Right.
You know, and so this is still like in that moment, and it's kind of interesting to revisit it and grotesque, you know, and so you reflect on it.
So in the documentary, he's on the other side of all of this.
You hope so. I mean, he in this moment,
at least at this moment.
Yes. And you know, Denise Richards is a talking head in it, and
his ex-wife.
And again, I mean, you sort of wonder with bits of his behavior, why would anyone marry this person or why would they, whatever. But then when you spend time with him and he's so self-deprecating and charming and whatever, you're like, I get it. Like, I'm sure in his healthier moments, he's a guy you want to be around.
Yeah.
You know, so it's interesting. I would recommend it.
Yeah. I read, I don't know if this is a quote in the documentary, but it's a quote from John Cryer connected to the documentary. He's talking about how, you know, when they were on 2.5 Men, you know, he showed up every day, he did his job, and he didn't cause any trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And he made like a third of what Charlie Sheen made.
Mm-hmm.
And the more drama Charlie Sheen created, the more he was spinning out, the more money they were giving him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, if that's not just like a fascinating reflection of the Hollywood mentality.
I know. He is in it, John Cryer.
Yeah.
And he is candid, I would say. Like he doesn't seem pleased about all this stuff.
Really? It's a shame because, I mean, certainly when that show started, I mean, they began it as friends.
Interesting. You know? Yeah. You know what though? I like that he's not like acidic or anything. Like he's not, this isn't his opportunity to take him down and say all the things he's probably been thinking in his head for the past decade. But he's honest about how he felt and he didn't feel great. So we appreciate that. An honest point of view.
Yeah. Okay. So you're making me interested in watching it. Here's a documentary that is playing in select theaters. Actually, my review just went up at the Chronicle today. It is called Predators. Not to be confused with the Alien franchise from Fox. This is about To Catch a Predator. Oh,
the show, the Hansen, what's his name?
Yeah, that's right. The Dateline NBC investigation series.
Oh, I'm which was such a phenomenon.
It really was,
wasn't
right?
it? And I definitely watched that. So what's
Yeah,
this about?
That's what made me interested in this documentary, because I remember watching To Catch a Predator all the time, right? And there was an element of prurient, a cathartic release watching these bad guys get theirs. That moment of, they think they're about to. So for those of you who don't know, so they would set up decoys online pretending to be children, or underage teens, to lure would-be predators to a decoy house. And then you would have somebody an adult who could pass for a teenager or a child, being like, hey, come on in. Hey, I'm going to get dressed. Just have some lemonade. I can't wait to spend time with you, or whatever.
And you're seeing this. This is like hidden camera footage, kind of like security camera footage of this.
Exactly. So this person comes in, sits down, and oh boy, here we go. Pour that lemonade. And then out walks Chris Hansen from NBC News, and he'd just be like, hey, so what are you doing here?
Yeah. Or he'd be like, what toppings did you get on that pizza you brought?
Right, exactly. So what's in the bag?
You'd toy with them, yeah.
Exactly.
And it was satisfying.
Right. That's exactly it. Right. So it's like, whose house is this? It's like, well, it says here. And then he'd pull out, 500 pages of transcript. Well, it says here, you want to do beep to the beep,
Right.
And so that was the show. And it was 20 episodes all over the country. And it was that. I mean, there was an element of just watching bad guys get theirs. Right.
Yep.
But of course, you are talking about real people, and it was always an ethical gray area, even if the show didn't get into it. So this documentary gets into it. The initial impact of the show, the decoys, their lives afterwards.
Interesting.
Some of them are like, I can't even watch it. Some of them have fans. Like they'll go to crime conventions and sign autographs.
That is something,
right?
I'm processing. I don't even know what to think about that.
And then, now, like, bear in mind, this is pre-YouTube and stuff. Like now you just have folks doing this stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or something similar, right? So in other words, this was predating a lot of the stuff, right? Like when you think about it, the audience for To Catch a Predator is very similar to the audience for your Karen video. That of like, here's barbecue Karen, and people want to see that person get taken down a few pegs.
Yeah.
It's that same sense. I mean, it's different. Obviously, the wrong is different, but the instinct is the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we have like wannabe To Catch a Predator type things on YouTube. And then, to me, the most interesting thing is that in the final portion of the documentary, the director sits down with Chris Hansen. And I was like, I was like, are they going to talk to Chris Hansen? And it's so interesting because, like, he's like whatever, mid 60s now, and this is his legacy.
Right.
And it's a legacy he's very proud of. He's very content with, but like there is a seamy, questionable side to all of it, and seeing him respond to questions about that. It's not like, gotcha bitch. It's not like that.
Yeah, actually, I was kind of wondering what the point of view of the doc was, or what it was. Point of was view, it interrogating this, or is it just digging in?
So the director is somebody who was abused as a child, and so they watched To Catch a Predator when they were younger, with hoping to find some kind of catharsis, but they didn't. And so it's a very, like, it's not, the documentary doesn't end and you're like, oh, okay, well, they cracked the case on how I'm supposed to feel about all this. It's not. I mean, it's like, it's very it's very vague and nebulous, and that is the point. And I found all of that whole journey really interesting.
I would definitely like to watch this because I did watch that show
Yeah.
frequently. I saw a lot of it, and I get what you're saying because there was, I don't know how to explain it, like a satisfaction in watching terrible people getting taken down, but there's like a voyeurism to it,
Right.
that's just sort of like bordering on, seamy, like you said, like like we're licking our lips to watch unsavory stuff get dealt with or something. You know what I mean? Like it's just something, I don't know. It teeters.
Well, because it's like, look, it's like nobody's going to defend any of these people, right? So
yeah, of course,
right? Like they are bad people doing bad stuff, and so bring them in. But to the point that you raised, that voyeuristic aspect, the fact is that this type of voyeurism has now extended beyond catching predators. And I mean, it's at least worth asking, like, is this a culture that we want to be a part of? Where we participate in the process of pointing fingers at those people, whoever they are, because again, it's not just predators anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I think the Chris Hansen interview was the most fascinating part of all of it to me, because I don't know what I think about this guy, being honest,
That's so, because I mean, he is the face of this.
Yeah.
And like you said, this is his legacy. So yeah, I'm very curious to hear him, I don't know, his point of view of it all.
There's just something very, there's I don't know, there's a dystopian element to all of it. It feels like something you'd see in a movie,
I hesitated saying it because it isn't exactly right, but I keep thinking it reminds me of The Running Man.
I was thinking that exact thing. Yeah.
Which is very different. It's about, prisoners playing this game where they can die and people watch it on TV for entertainment. But there's something very, very broadly, maybe in the same sort of arena, where it's like these bad people and there's just gross elements to all of it, and they're going to get taken down, and we can like make a bowl of popcorn and sit with our families and watch it.
Yeah.
Like there's something, just slightly dystopian about that. But I want to be fair, by the way. I watched it. I'm not.
I did too. I watched every episode. Every episode. And this is these thoughts. I mean, there was always an icky element of it, but it wasn't something I myself spent very much time thinking about. But when you really think about it, like the people that showed up, what about getting them treatment?
Sure.
Right? Like they showed up, they had an intention, but they had not done the thing. So why not use that as your moment to get them help? Right? And
instead of like catching them and releasing them back into the wild.
Or putting them in prison for that matter, The film, like it gets into those questions, and like I said, I found it very, very watchable. Yeah, it debuted at Sundance earlier this year, and it's in limited release here in the Bay Area. I'm assuming it's probably playing around you too.
All right, yeah, I'll definitely look into that. I'm interested.
Yeah. So that is that.
Yeah. What a
quite the grab bag.
Well, you got quite the grab bag. Well, I was just going to say something that I kind of haven't thought about in a while, but I definitely remember. It definitely feels of an era, and now it's interesting. All these years later, we can see it sort of examined. Like
literally 20 plus years later.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, we got some listener letters, Brian.
Oh.
Mail call! I believe you have a letter for me.
18,000 letters, all addressed to Santa Claus.
You got mail. Hey, I love that music.
Me too. I'm glad. Thank you.
So here's a comment we got on YouTube on our last regular show. This is from Luke's Mail 24, who says, just as a movie lover, thank you for someone online finally providing a fair and balanced view on the box office of Superman versus Man of Steel. Online, it feels like we've been in the 2-man enter, 1-man leave arena since that is true, since the new movie was announced, please keep up the great work, and may more podcasters find inspiration in your much needed views.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's the what we tried to do. What he's referring to is somebody had emailed me being like, how can we say Superman, this new movie, was a hit when people are saying Man of Steel was a flop and Man of Steel made more more internationally, worldwide, than Superman. And the point I was making was, well, neither of them was a flop. They're,
Mm-hmm.
And the gap in the box office between the previous one and this one is just about what China's chunk of it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's about, it made like 60 million in China, and that's about the shortfall.
Oh, interesting.
Man of Steel. The other thing is, like, we see this thing, oh, well, if you account for inflation, then Man of Steel made way more. And it's like, I hate that. That drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah.
Inflation. Okay, well, then, Gone with the Wind is the number one movie of all time. Okay. Right. Well, so what?
Like, cool. Like, it's great for Trivial Pursuit.
That's all it is. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Like, what we're talking about is relative success in the market in which the movie exists, not the market from, in this case, 13 years ago.
That's a really great point. Yeah. I mean, specifically, Gone with the Wind, movie going was such a different experience and economy than it is now. You know what I mean? Like, even just post COVID, even between Man of Steel and Superman. So it's just, it's almost, you can do the inflation calculator, but it's just, I don't know. They just can't, they're never going to be the same. The realities of the world that they were released in are just different.
Yeah. It's just functionally different. The other thing to realize is that when we're talking about the prior iteration of this DC stuff, and this is ground you and I have covered quite a bit, but it's worth reiterating. Look, Man of Steel did well enough for them to announce the follow-up within 6 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. They announced Batman versus Superman very shortly after, right? Now you can say, oh, they put Batman in there because they were disappointed in what it made, whatever. Regardless, they were like, this, we're doing that. We're continuing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's coming back. The band is back together, right? They didn't kick Zack Snyder off or anything like that. That means they were satisfied with the movie's performance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we look at Batman versus Superman, this is important. It opened very, very well, but the drop from weekend 1 to weekend 2 was seismic. It was substantial. It was one of the biggest drops at the time. Right? So all of these are like important parts of the grid here that we have to be looking at. So, there was concern back then about the fact that people turned up for the second one and weren't crazy about it. A repeat viewing wasn't what it should be.
Sure.
Right? And then, and this is probably the most crucial thing. If you remember, when Justice League opened the following year, 1 year later, it was dead on arrival. Right? And bear in mind, at that time, nobody knew about all the bring back Zack Snyder and release the Snyder Cut and all that. Nobody knew that. Not the larger audience, right?
Right.
So Justice League, the fact that Justice League was dead on arrival was a reflection of people's dissatisfaction with Batman versus Superman. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Right? So, in other words, this is the trajectory we're looking at. And obviously, there's a variety of other factors here, but none of that points to Man of Steel having flopped or been perceived as a flop, neither of which is the case.
Yeah.
All the other stuff all happened, but that was later.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? There's still room for this new DCU to shit the bed in all new and exciting ways.
Right.
Which, history being our guide, hey, they probably will do that. Who knows?
Yeah. For me, I think the healthy way to look at this, because I love looking at box office stuff. When we do our commentaries, I always look it up, and it's interesting as a context.
Yep.
But I think the healthy way to look at all this is as fun trivia.
That's right.
And not a war to be won.
Yeah, it has been deeply weird seeing again. I think I used this example before, but you got people on the internet who are still convinced that the current Superman movie flopped.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even now,
Yeah.
And these are like Japanese soldiers on Pacific Islands who had decades after the war ended had no idea that it was over. You know?
That's funny.
It's very weird, you know.
Talk amongst yourselves, I guess.
Everybody needs a hobby, I guess. Here's a note we got from James Garcia. He emailed us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. It says, Zachy and Brian, hope you're doing well. I'm loving the show as always, especially the random convo Patreon drops.
Oh, great.
I would literally listen to you two chat about anything.
Oh, thanks.
That's very nice. Thank you, James. It says, Brian's recent adventures into the world of cord cutting brings up an idea I hope streamers utilize in the future, channel surfing mode.
Yeah.
Look at this. It says, how great would it be to open up Netflix and have it start randomly playing something from your queue, whether that be a movie or a random episode of a TV series you've had in your list for ages. It could pick some random time in the middle and give you the option to start over if it's something you find you actually want to watch, or you could just skip to the next random thing and relive that classic channel surfing experience. I, like Brian, suffer from the affliction of too many choices and will often find myself scrolling around for at least 45 minutes, debating with myself about what's worth turning on or what I actually want to get invested in. This usually ends with me going between multiple streamers and either choosing nothing in the end or falling back on an old favorite I've seen a bunch of times already. I know Netflix had some kind of randomizer option in the past and would love to see them or another streamer utilize it in some way. Would either of you find this to be an enjoyable compromise in the current streaming world? Anyway, apologies again for the email length. Keep doing what you're doing. You are my absolute favorite movie podcasting duo, and I always look forward to new episodes and commentaries. Best, James.
Oh, thank you, James. This is what do you think, Zach? Actually, I'm curious. I have something to say, but I want to hear what you think about this.
I think, I think it's absolutely a good idea, but I think the mere fact that so many of these streaming services have taken on a live stream option is sort of a tacit acknowledgement that people kind of want that,
right? Because Disney Plus has a
multiple live
Simpsons
streams
channel, right?
Yeah,
where they're just playing all the episodes and you don't know where it is. It's like television, as if it
and
was
it's literally I will do that because my kids will be like, hey, put on The Simpsons, and instead of scrolling through all 35 seasons and finding, I just go to the live stream and I just whatever happens to be on.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting. Yes, I think this is a great idea, and I feel like I found this a bit in Pluto. I really have been enjoying Pluto a lot. I scroll through it all the time, and there'll be something like Coneheads or something where I'm like, I would never choose this movie, but do I want to see the last 10 minutes because I don't remember it and I saw it when I was 13? Yeah. So literally last night I watched like the last 10 minutes of Coneheads and it wasn't good.
I'm glad you needed to watch those 10 minutes to get to
But that's my choice. That's what I wanted to do at 11:45 p.m. last night. So, and then
apropos of nothing, when it comes to Coneheads, I remember there was a massive marketing campaign with regards to the Coneheads movie.
Oh yeah, and there's a million people in it, by the way.
Yeah, but it's such a weird like who was the audience for that?
Well, you also, you know what I was thinking about, because it's so weird. It's very, very weird, the ending. Yeah. And then the end credits has like a song made for the movie where they're like, we all want mass consumption or something like really silly and like whatever that's never going to appeal to like, you know, like a kid listening to alternative rock in the 90s or something. But it reminded me that there was a Red Hot Chili Peppers music video tied with this, and I was just picturing Dan Aykroyd,
fascinating,
you know, doing press for Coneheads, which is like a sketch that was even a little before my time or our time.
Yeah, that was like first 5 years, right?
Yeah, and then I was just picturing
on SNL, for those of you who don't know.
On SNL, yes. Like I was picturing him on Entertainment Weekly being like, "Oh yeah, and then the Chili Peppers got a song for us," and like what? Like it just is such a weird mishmash of generations.
I remember there was a toy line.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Playmates had a Coneheads toy line. Now, this is when toys were for kids. You didn't have like adult toys like you do now.
Right.
What kid, Brian, what child is going to drag his parent by the finger down the aisle at Toys R Us and be like, give me Beldar Conehead?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I mean, you know, and speaking of, I keep saying speaking of, and I'm speaking of nothing. We have not referenced this yet. I don't know why I keep going to that. But a point I'm going to make is
there you go.
Some movies should remain as 3-minute sketch ideas.
Absolutely.
You know,
That's
this
like
is one of them.
90% of SNL inspired movies.
Yeah, like It's Pat or Stuart Smalley Saves His Family. Wayne's World was a miracle. Blues Brothers is a miracle.
Yep.
You
That's
know?
it. Those and MacGruber I would put in that list also.
MacGruber is so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you watch this and you're like, oh, this isn't funny past 2.5 minutes.
Yep.
You know, and there are some funny ideas like, oh, him mowing the lawn, him doing the whatever. Okay, that's a great sketch. But then having them back on their home planet and he's fighting this big monster while he's wearing a diaper. And like, it's just, I was like, what is happening? This is so wild.
You know, I don't think I realized just how many SNL movies there are.
What are some of the others?
Like, okay, so, well, Blues Brothers and Wayne's World, those are the first two, right?
Yep.
So Coneheads was 93.
Uh-huh.
And then Wayne's World 2, I forgot. Wayne's World 2 I like. I think people dog on that one.
I don't love it as much, but it's definitely, if you like the first one, it's enough.
I agree with that. So here we go. It's Pat, 1994. Stuart Saves His Family, 1995. Blues Brothers 2000, 1998. There's a gem. A Night at the Roxbury, 1998. Superstar, 1999. The Ladies' Man.
Wow.
2000. How many at-bats before you realize, oh, wait, nobody cares about any of these?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen most of those, I'm going to be honest. But I don't know. I mean, Wayne's World was just like lightning in a bottle, really.
So It's Pat. It cost $8 million. You want to take a guess how much it made at the box office?
2 point something.
Not quite. It made $60,000.
Whoa! Wow.
Which, look, not for nothing, but I could have told you that. I wouldn't have told you it would make that little, but there was no audience for an It's Pat movie.
No, and do you know, I think Quentin Tarantino did a pass on that script.
Did he really?
Yeah, because he's friends with Julia Sweeney, because she's in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It says here, after 6 months of work, which included a script with input from Quentin Tarantino that involved Pat being pursued by a relentless suitor. Fascinating. Okay, well, but again, I never liked those sketches.
I know. I mean, or they were like, huh,
yeah,
what's next?
It was about 1.5 minutes of premise packed into 6 minutes or whatever, however long those were.
Yeah. But I don't know. But really quick, going back to James's email, it was funny because I do think it would be interesting if they were like, hey, this is based on your algorithm. And you seem to like true crime things and you like comedy stuff and you like documentaries. They have like a set of channels that are just looping a bunch of their things in those categories so you can kind of get a taste and then pick it. I think that's a great idea. I also, as he was talking about that, I had this thing where I was thinking like, that makes sense to people of a certain age because that's the experience we grew up with.
Yes.
Can you introduce that to a younger audience and they will go, oh, this is interesting, maybe? Or do they just have no interest at all in trying to decide that way?
Isn't scrolling through TikTok comparable to channel surfing?
Dude, you're so right. Okay, well, there you go. There you go. But what I was thinking was maybe it only appeals to people of a certain age. And it reminded me of the scene in Minority Report where there's those like cocoons or whatever, capsules that people are sitting in, and they're paying for like some sort of holographic experience. Usually it's like sort of pornographic or something, but I was picturing like for older people like us, it's like, I want to watch TV like I did when I was young. And so you go in this capsule and it's like you can actually flip through channels, like you have to pay for the experience.
So here's my thought. First of all, I would pay for that experience. I think the problem is we are living in such an algorithmically designated world that I think that is something I'd like to believe that is something people are reflexively pushing back against. Right? Because you look at your homepage on whatever your Netflix homepage, that's sort of the algorithm is putting stuff in front of you, right?
Sure.
TikTok, it's fully algorithm generated, but what made channel surfing a thing was that stuff that would never cross your radar is put in front of you, and you're like, huh, what's this? You know, I lost an afternoon watching CPO Sharky starring Don Rickles because that was what happened to be on.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it was a sitcom where you know, Don Rickles was quite the curmudgeon.
Oh, really?
In this man's navy.
Right.
It was some good clean fun for 12-year-old Zachy.
Sure.
Right. My point is, like, that's kind of the fun of it, right? Like, that's what's missing.
Well, I agree. I mean, This Is Spinal Tap was something I caught randomly late at night, flipping channels on TV. Fear of a Black Hat, which is sort of like a early 90s rap version of like This Is Spinal Tap. Wouldn't have known that existed. And I really love that movie. They Live. You know, all these movies that I are endeared to now and that have kind of become classics is because I discovered them late at night, flipping channels, not knowing they existed.
Yeah.
So there's still something to it. There's something to it.
Yeah. You know, I think, again, I'd like to believe that we are seeing just a general, not like an active pushback, but just a general sense of like, you know, I'm sick of these apps picking my next thing for me. I'd like to believe that anyway.
It would be nice, yeah, because of course your inclination is going to. Well, you don't even get to have an inclination. To your point, they are curating, you know, your options.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I want to make sure I'm not missing something that could become my new favorite thing.
Yeah. You know, it's tangentially connected to this. You know, I screen the movie Spotlight in my classes, right? We're doing a journalism unit. And so normally I show stuff from my Voodoo account. And just by chance, I was having some issues logging into my Voodoo. So I logged into Prime Video where I have like a parallel account set up, you know. So the movies anywhere, a lot of this, you can own the same movies across multiple platforms, right? So we're watching Spotlight. The kids are really into it. And I don't know if you've seen the movie, you know, it ends and then we get these, you know, like these are the cities where other sexual abuse scandals were uncovered. And it's just silence as like page after page of these cities, you know, and then normally, you know, it fades to black and you have like a you know, maybe a second or two of silence and then the credits start. So here it's like page, you know, again, it's like page after page. And then, hey, if you're done with this, subscribe to Football on Amazon Prime Video. Like, really. Yeah. And literally my students are like, whoa, like not okay movie.
Right.
Let us sit in our feelings, you know, like,
Yep.
And it was somewhat comical, you know.
That's hilarious.
This is you know, look, a lot of this is admittedly two middle-aged guys.
I know. I'm a little
grumpy.
self-aware yeah.
However, I think there's something to how this stuff is rewiring us psychologically that we should at least, you know, be aware of, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I think it's just it's. I don't like I keep saying I don't want this for other people to miss out on things that might not. An algorithm might think, oh well, based on what they've seen, they won't be interested in this thing, and you might be missing out on something that means a lot to you. You know.
I agree. Yeah.
So I don't want to be denied that.
Well, hey, we got some headlines here, Brian.
Nope.
Extra.
What a scoop!
So I don't know if you heard this, but our president is Donald Trump. I don't know if you are aware of that. Yeah, afraid so.
Okay.
And he has opinions.
Oh.
You know, I gotta say, I miss the days when we didn't need to know every thought that flittered through the brain pan of the commander in chief, whoever that happened to be.
Yeah. Yes.
And this is a story that relates to all the stuff we talk about here, and I find it relevant. So, you're familiar with the one Tom Hanks, I believe?
I am.
So, it had been announced by West Point in June, just a couple months ago, that they were going to give Tom Hanks a 2025 Sylvanus Thayer Award. So that's given annually to an outstanding citizen of the United States whose service and accomplishments in the national interest exemplify personal devotion to the ideals expressed in West Point's motto, duty, honor, country. And this award was going to be presented, as it happens, on September 25th, my birthday. So it would have been presented a week from today as we record this. And this is the quote from the board chairman, Robert McDonald, says, Tom Hanks has done more for the positive portrayal of the American service member, more for the caring of the American veteran, their caregivers, and their family, and more for the American space program and all branches of government than many other Americans.
Without question.
Yeah. And this is a quote from Tom Hanks. He says, to have my first ever visit to the Academy be to accept such an honor as the Thayer Award is simply astounding. West Point's legacy of leadership, character, and service to the nation is a powerful example for all Americans. To be recognized by an institution whose graduates have shaped our country's history through selfless service is both humbling and meaningful. Now, think about the kind of person you have to be to dislike Tom Hanks. And even as I say that, I think you already know where this is headed, because Tom Hanks is no longer receiving that award. And this was done at the behest of one Donald John Trump. And the reason being, if you recall, Tom Hanks during the last election endorsed Kamala Harris. And in the election before, on Inauguration Day, Tom Hanks was like the master of ceremonies on the National Mall. And, that is a step too far. So as a result, West Point was essentially told, no, you cannot give him the award. The cancellation was reported. And then on top of that, just to make sure that we all knew who was responsible, we got a post from Donald Trump on his own social media site, Truth. He says, our great West Point, getting greater all the time, has smartly canceled the award ceremony for actor Tom Hanks. Important move. We don't need destructive, woke recipients getting our cherished American awards! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Hopefully, the Academy Awards and other fake awards shows will review their standards and practices in the name of fairness and justice. Watch their dead ratings surge.
He just had some time on his hands to.
I mean, isn't this something? This is real life. This is. We're back here.
I know, and this is, regardless of your politics.
Right.
This is immature and embarrassing behavior for a president. And West Point's reasoning for wanting to give Tom Hanks this award is objective and true. He really has. Through his platform, he's brought a lot of attention to the military, to the space program, to all those things. And hearing Tom Hanks's humble response and, being honored by this sort of thing, it all adds up.
Yeah.
So for someone who has presumably a lot on their plate, to concern themselves with this is confusing. And then like you said, this post, this reaction is just immature and embarrassing. And I don't get it.
We keep coming back to this, but I'm just like, how can you be this advanced in yours and be this immature in behavior? I truly by even before being president, he had achieved most measures of worldly success. And yet he was always petty and vindictive and cruel.
Right.
And it's troubling because of how much this behavior is a reflection of what his supporters want. Right. And that manifests in a variety of ways, which we'll be talking about. But this Tom Hanks thing really crystallized for me. What does he lose? What does Donald Trump lose by Tom Hanks getting an award? Right. Now, ultimately, Tom Hanks doesn't lose anything big picture by having this. He's fine, But there is something about what it signifies and who is deemed worthy, right? who is deemed worthy. Like if we're calling Tom Hanks destructive, given his truly a lifetime of service along with his film work,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's used it. He's leveraged his success in meaningful, measurable ways that have benefited people, that have benefited veterans, that have benefited research and exploration. You name it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not deemed the right kind of American. And who's deeming the right kind of American? The man currently in the White House.
Right. Not the people who are handing out the award.
Yeah.
They deemed it already.
Yeah.
It's their business.
You know?
Yeah. To step in like that, it's just...
Unfortunately, we can't look at these things in a vacuum, right? Because obviously we have the news this week, as you and I are recording. This is just, in the last 36 hours, about Jimmy Kimmel being pulled off the air.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been one of those stories that I've been following from the moment it crossed over from just everyday run-of-the-mill events into, this is the thing that's driving the online discussion now.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have, so bear in mind, we're talking in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Utah, which obviously, it goes without saying, was horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the footage of it?
No, I avoided it.
I saw it. Unfortunately, I've seen it from multiple angles, and I was like, is this the first time we've had a political assassination available in 4K from multiple angles?
Right.
Is that the Rubicon we've crossed now?
I've thought about that actually with JFK and the Zapruder film.
Mm-hmm.
You've got one grainy, kind of confusing, jittery video account of that. But if that were to happen now, you would have 100 angles in 4K that everyone could upload and, sell to the news. It's just such a different thing.
Yeah. And the aftermath of that incident was very telling for me, right? Because well, okay, a couple of thoughts. Number one, I think anybody who saw it or anybody who heard about it is like, that's really messed up. That shouldn't be happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I think that he had, he said things throughout his life that make me say, well, I don't support the things he said. I support his right to say them.
Mm-hmm.
I support debate,
Mm-hmm.
And that's look at what he said about Islam over the years, about Muslims over the years. He literally, the day before he died, is like, Islam is going to slit the throat of the West. That's what he says about my religion.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm like, well, these are horrible things that you're saying.
Right.
So the lionization that I've seen after his passing is very perplexing to me, because I'm like, I mean, look, he's saying bad things. We have to be able to say, look, I disagree with what somebody says, but I also disagree with this thing happening. We have to be able to accept both those things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the lionization, the sense of, he was just bringing the word of the Lord to people. I'm sorry. I disagree with that.
I will say, it was a little confusing for me, because when it happened, I literally had to Google him.
Okay.
And then I was like,
that's good. That means you have a healthy, online
algorithm
balance. Yeah.
But so to me, I mean, for different reasons, it was a little startling, the sort of, like lionization, to use your word, just, I was like, huh? Who? What?
Right.
It's very surprising to me.
Yeah, it really, to me, I'm just like, this is like my experience looking at my Facebook feed, right? It's like you glance to the right, you see one reality, and then you glance to the left, you see an entirely different reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just life now. That's just what it is.
That's just what it is,
right?
Yep.
And so this is the thing. Like I'm looking at it. I'm like, look, this is deeply effed up. What happened to him?
Without question.
But I'm not going to say that he did a lot of great stuff with his platform, because in my opinion he didn't. But those are two contrary thoughts that we just have to be able to encompass, right? That's not the point I want to make. The point is this, in the aftermath, how things began to spin out, right?
Mm.
And actually, before I even get there were plenty of people who are not his fans who felt the need to get on online platforms and rejoice in his death.
Right.
And to that I say, you could just like not do that. Like you could just try not doing that and see how that works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's something broken with the incentive structures across the board. This is not a right wing problem, a left. This is a human brain problem.
Yes, that we're seeing a lot of.
Right?
Detachment.
Right. Because here's the thing, folks. Plenty of people die who you disagree with, and before social media, you would just have that thought. You'd be like, well, I'm whatever process I'm going through, it's happening inside of me, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to show your work on threads or whatever.
Sure.
Right. So then we got people who are getting doxxed and they're losing their jobs.
Right.
To which I say, well, I don't think that should be happening, but I also think you didn't need to do the thing that got you your job lost.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of complex things happening.
A lot of complex things.
Right. So what we've seen over the last, we're now just over a week out, is again, two things. This utter reinvention of Charlie Kirk from literally, I saw Glenn Beck say, without an ounce of irony, I would assume, say he was not a conservative activist. He was a civil rights icon.
Mm.
And I said, civil rights for who? Because it wasn't for black and brown people.
Right.
So words still have meaning, is what I'm saying.
Yep.
But this like, oh, we can't, don't watch what you say. If you say anything, we're gonna call your place of work.
Mm-hmm.
We literally Pete Hegseth is like, if any service members are saying anything critical of him, not even like I'm glad he's dead, which is
Not
messed up, but like
things. Yes.
But like I didn't like what he said. I'm sad he died, but he shouldn't have said this. Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes troubling. And it's being used as a vehicle to gin up a government-backed mechanism to tamp down on people's speech.
Right.
And so that's how we arrive at the Jimmy Kimmel situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you and I, in one of our Patreon episodes a couple months ago, we talked about how Stephen Colbert's show had been canceled. And it was done in the shadow of Paramount and Skydance merging, and trying to increase the likelihood of government approval. And so, even though they said it was a purely financial decision, it at least smelled bad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here we have a situation where Jimmy Kimmel goes on his show Monday, and he makes a joke, which Brian, maybe we can pipe in the audio of what he said. It's not that hard. I mean, it's well, here it is.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
So that joke, I mean, it's a joke. Is it a good joke? It's a whatever joke. It's a nightly talk show joke. And what's at issue is he is making it sound like the person who's in custody was a MAGA person, and maybe he's not a MAGA person. Like there's enough wiggle room in what he's saying that I could say it's probably just misinterpretation,
mm-hmm.
but it's irrelevant. That's kind of my point. Even if that's what he said, even if that's what he's implying, that the person who's in custody is a not a MAGA person from the most recent information we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
He implied that it was. Okay, even if that's the case, are we saying he doesn't have the right to say that? Does he not have the right to make a correction if needed?
Sure.
right? So that was used, and I saw this spinning out in real time. I saw it on Tuesday. He should get in trouble for this. He should lose his job. So Wednesday morning, the head of the FCC is on some podcast, and he says, in essence, actually not even in essence, this is what he said. Disney needs to take care of this, or we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way, which is some straight up mob enforcer shit, right?
Sure.
That's like a scene from The Untouchables.
Yeah.
And then within a few hours, ABC says they're benching him indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
And in case the meaning wasn't doubly clear, that same head of the FCC, when asked his response, tweets a gif from The Office of Michael and Dwight like doing Raise the Roof.
Nice. Very professional.
Yeah. And so that's where we're at. So now you have the free speech warriors who are like, oh, well, ABC is a private company and they can make any decisions they want, right? And it's like, okay, well, this doesn't happen in a vacuum. This didn't happen in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling Stone had a piece up saying that most of the executives at the network thought he didn't do anything wrong, but they were scared of Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, they were pissing their pants most of the day. And so this is where we're at. Now, I think we have to ask ourselves, this is where we're at. Where are we?
Mm-hmm.
Because this troubles the shit out of me.
Yeah. I mean, I was wondering what it was like for Colbert and Fallon, like being on the air that evening.
Mm-hmm.
Are they just like thinking triple time about every word that comes out of their mouth for fear of if one particular person doesn't like what they're saying, it could be off with their heads?
I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, for the FCC to stick its fingers in the pie like this, I'm fairly certain it's entirely illegal. If ABC had said, "Hey, kick rocks," sue us,
Mm-hmm.
what would happen, right? But the problem is, like, there's this capitulation. There's a preemptive capitulation. Instead of these companies being like, you know what, we got the First Amendment. What do you got?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And I have so many thoughts about this. I'm like, presidents get to be made fun of by people.
Right.
Like, that's because this is the important thing. They're using Charlie Kirk as the pretext. It's not Charlie Kirk. It's Donald Trump doesn't like these guys making jokes about him.
Right.
We know that because when Colbert's show was pulled or when it was announced that it was canceled, he says Jimmy Kimmel is next.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sitting here defending Jimmy Kimmel as like the pinnacle of comedy. I think he's fine doing that show, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the point, is it?
No.
The point is late night comedians get to make fun of the president. Everybody gets to make fun of the president. You know why? Because you get to be the president.
Right.
I don't know. Sorry.
No. I appreciate you laying this all out. I was just listening because I think you're doing a really good job of laying out what's been a series of really intricate and complex things these past couple days.
Do we think it ends here? Let's say hypothetically.
Let's go to the tweets or whatever.
Yeah, he says Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers, you're next. Do it, NBC.
Well, I had it because I was shaking my head reading most of this, but this line really bothered me. He just said, that leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers. And I was like, don't you have other things to do?
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to like, regardless of your politics, I really want to stress that regardless of your politics, this is embarrassing behavior.
It really is. Yeah.
This is embarrassing, immature behavior for our leader. I don't know
if you saw. I
wish this could unite us, frankly. I wish we could like all sort of acknowledge that this is strange, embarrassing behavior from the person who's representing us to the world. And even if we can't agree on certain things, at least we can agree on that.
Right. You'd think so. But people are so dug in on their side of the trench.
Dug in. I know. I don't know what it's going to take.
My worry is it's going to take something a lot worse than what we have going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of economic calamity, or God forbid, something worse than that,
Yeah.
because so many of the elements are in place for something bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I worry about,
Yep.
This is just yesterday. So yesterday afternoon, he posts about Jimmy Kimmel again.
Mm-hmm.
This is Donald Trump. He says, he posts a clip of the 2023 Oscars. Do you remember when Kimmel made that joke about Donald Trump?
No.
So it was like, let me see if I can remember. It was like, it was near the end of the show. I think it was before the Best Picture announcement, and Trump was posting whatever shit about Kimmel. And so Kimmel read his post while hosting the Oscars, and he goes, "Isn't it past your jail time?"
Mm.
This is from 2023.
Right.
And so
He's
is
probably
Trump.
like Steve Buscemi and Billy Madison. And then he wrote his name on a piece of paper on the wall in that moment.
You're not
Jimmy
wrong.
Kimmel, right?
You're not wrong. So this is a tweet or a post, a truth, from yesterday by Donald Trump. He says, Jimmy Kimmel, just before announcement of the Best Picture of the Year, felt that he had to respond to a truth put out by me toward the end of the show. He made a total fool of himself, his wife and agent begging him not to do it, while also proving to be one of the worst hosts in the history of the Academy Awards. Watch the clip. Now think about the fact that this is the President of the United States pulling out a 2 years old clip about a comedian making a joke about him.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say? Like, this is everything we teach our kids not to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the broader point I want to make here, and I promise, folks, we don't normally get into politics. This is relevant given everything that's going on. Do we think it ends here? Right, to your point. Okay, you get all your nightly news, your nightly talk show hosts off. Okay, you got your comedians off the air. You think Saturday Night Live is safe?
Right.
They're already talking about The View, and I never thought in my life I'd be defending The View.
Right.
I don't care about The View, but that's not really the point, is it?
That's what I wanted to say too, because it's like why we even would bring this up on this show is because this really does have to do with media and entertainment, and news is a part of that. And if a precedent is set where just because someone in a position of power is irked by something that someone says on TV, and they can use the people that they've put into certain places to be like, I don't like that person. Figure it out through your job to boot that person off the air.
Yeah.
Where does it end?
Where is this where we're at? I mean,
and just real quick for people who are like, yeah, but I didn't like what Kimmel said. Well, at some point it's going to be something that you agree with.
That's the point.
Right? Like this shouldn't be a moment that's about sides. Like
that's
this is like, what is at stake here? What do we stand to lose?
That's really it, right? I mean, look, people say all kinds of shitty stuff on TV, and there is a price attached, right? The First Amendment, freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. We get that. However, the reality is when it comes to this specific situation, the Kimmel situation, it happened as a result of the government putting its thumb on the scale in ways it's not supposed to do.
That's, I think, the biggest part of that story. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, it's irrelevant whether you like what he said, that's just chum in the water.
Mm-hmm.
What comes next?
Yep.
And look, he has been back in office for like 8 months. We've been aging in dog years since then,
I know.
And this is 8 months in. Where do you think we are 3 years from now?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know. And again, I know how I feel about this. It feels very dark to me.
Yeah.
Like the possibilities that lay ahead as a result of this sort of thing, what this allows, the seed that this is, what does this plant? What grows from this? That scares me. And for some people, again, this might be swaying in a direction that they're like, well, I don't mind that this person I don't like was taken off the air. Good. I didn't like that person anyway. But the point is, that person it's going to be your person next. Like
Yeah.
if this continues, if this becomes the way that it is, and so you have to be okay with someone you don't like saying something you don't like as much as the person you do like saying the thing you do like. That's just what we get to do. And if you don't like the person, turn the channel.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better. But thanks for letting me vent about this.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see where this all goes, but it doesn't feel good. And I appreciate you. This is something that is looming, even when we're thinking about the happier things during the day. And so I appreciate you letting it out a little bit, and just, it's nice to talk about it with someone. And by the way, talk about it with someone who I feel is level-headed about all this, because that's the thing too. And I think it's really important to point out, we don't like these things that are happening, but we're not like calling people poo-poo heads and saying, calling for like heinous things to happen to people we don't like. That's not okay. Right. But like, we're just trying to take a step back and look at what's happening just objectively and go, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look like a correct use of power. And if this continues, what does that mean for all of us? And to me, that's bipartisan, frankly.
It should be. It should be.
It should be.
I think that's the most worrying thing, right? Is when we lose the common ground of a shared reality, of a shared set of facts, which is rapidly where we're at right now. It's been happening anyway because of the de-emphasis on traditional news, and just instead this societal shift towards whatever my algorithm puts in front of me. Think about what that does to us, right? All of us are within our silos, and we're not talking to each other. We're not focusing on the shared things we can do together, right? Like, so this is an analogy I make in my classes, right? Where I'm talking about like politics is the art of the possible. It's about getting stuff done, right? And it used to be, it's like, well, this is what I want. This is what you want. Let's sit down. Let's figure this out. And maybe I don't get 100% what I want. You don't get 100% of what you want. But at the end of this, we're at least moving. We got a little bit of what each want, and we're all moving in the same direction.
Right.
But things in the last 15 years or so, the incentive structure of social media and stuff has made, for regular folks and for politicians, has made it such that it has to be zero sum.
It makes me think of Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. If you are not with me, you are my enemy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thinking. That's right.
Yeah.
And yeah, even though phrasing wise, it's not great, but yeah, only it deals in absolutes.
Right.
Which is itself an absolute statement. Let's get into that. Which, what that says is, even Obi-Wan has the capacity to be a little Sith. There we go. There's my... Right, but it's true, right? When you're on the highway and somebody's trying to merge from an on-ramp, you're not like, screw this guy, I'm going to block his path, right? You either speed up or slow down so that he has a way to get in. Right? Because it's not zero sum. It's, well, we all want to be on the highway. I don't want to crash and I don't want to cause a big thing. So, well, we're all in the highway of life here,
That's pretty good. Yeah. I'm nodding my head. I like your metaphor.
But that's what it's become. And this sense of like, oh, well, I love Trump. His enemies are my enemies, so I'm going to go after his enemies. And it's like, okay, at this point, it's such a cliched chestnut, but here we go. Imagine if Barack Obama was like, all right, find a way to take, Fox News off the air. Right? People would be pissed. I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and Fox News is different because it's cable, and I get it. It's an imperfect analogy, but
no, but I understand what you're saying.
Using the levers of government in some way to go after folks. I'm like, this is just 2-bit mob boss shit.
Yep.
And again, living in a country where comedians are not allowed to make fun of the president, I don't know, man. That's not a country I want to necessarily live in.
That's not the United States of America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as of this moment, Jimmy Kimmel has been suspended. He has not been fired. The show has not been canceled. Honestly, if I were to guess, I would say that it will be back sooner rather than later. because I don't think Disney anticipated the shitstorm they were going to be getting from the other side on this.
Mm.
So like, in trying to appease the folks who are anti, I don't think they counted on all the people who are pro.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is something they want to deal with. So my suspicion is, like, what are we, as we record this, we're in the tail end of September. I would not be surprised if he's back by the beginning of October.
Mm.
Because think about it. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel has been synonymous with that network for a long time.
Yeah, longer than I think I realize.
Yeah, I mean, the show has been on for 22 years, right? And then he hosts Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He hosts the Academy Awards occasionally. He hosts the upfronts every year.
Mm.
He's been a good company man.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think, I mean, CBS, they at least gave Colbert the courtesy of a season.
Sure.
To say goodbye. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see this being like, that's it. You're done. Unless Kimmel's like, you know what, I'm done.
Right.
But I don't even see him doing that necessarily, because I mean, there's a lot of people who rely on that job.
Right.
This is not just one person. This is
a crew
and everybody, you know? So I'm very curious. I mean, we're in kind of this weird interregnum. Mm-hmm. Where we don't really know where this is going to go. But I think we are at a moment where, like, folks need to ask themselves, like, where do we want things to go? Like, we all of us have agency in this, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's going to take, it's like my prayer. Like, it's going to take some bravery from people to speak up against someone who they've stood by for a long time. Like, I mean, I would hope this for myself. If there was someone that I supported and looked up to, but they did something where I was like, that's not right. Mm-hmm. I don't know about that. Well, what are you going to do about that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, at some point you might have to stand up to your guy. And that's just, I don't know. I wish I had more hope in that than I do in this moment, but like, and at some point it might be my guy. I don't know who. Yeah. I'm just made up person at this point, but like, I just would really love for some people to just sort of take a couple steps back and go, look, I know I supported this person. I know for some reason this is the banner I've been carrying or whatever, but like, that ain't right.
Yeah.
That ain't right. And I how do I feel about that? What am I going to do about that?
Yeah. I was talking to my son earlier this week, and I was kind of making that point where I was like, put principle over people.
That's right. Exactly.
Right. Like, I was like, if you put people on pedestals and you make them the locus of your personality, what have you, man, you were just asking to either become a cult member or to go through life eternally disappointed.
I think that is so important, Zachy, because I don't know. I think it's partially my upbringing with my parents, where they made sure I didn't like idolize anybody, even athletes or whatever. Like, they're just people. Yeah. And then also, I really do credit The Simpsons with like giving me a perspective where it's like everybody's kind of goofy, and we're all neighbors. Right? Like. I mentioned earlier, like growing up in church, and I think for a lot of people, they would see someone standing at a podium on the stage in a church and go, well, he said it. He's behind the podium. For a lot of people, that's enough.
Right.
And I don't mean to make this just about like church or something, but as an example.
No, but actually, if I can just interject here, I think your point, just to connect your thoughts, right? You look at Reverend Lovejoy.
Yes.
And you say, here is a man of faith who is nonetheless flawed.
Mm-hmm.
And we can encompass both of those thoughts.
Yes.
And that's what The Simpsons has taught us.
100%. And just my point being, like, no one, no matter their title or position, should be looked up to or followed without question. They are just people. And even if you admire them, if they do something that doesn't feel right, it's okay to question them. or change your opinion on them. And I think that's an important perspective I wish more people shared. Instead of following and worshiping and never questioning people that they've aligned themselves with,
I mean, it makes sense to me. We live in this age of stan culture.
It feels like it's risen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can understand teenagers,
Sure.
Putting, athletes up, in a high place, or singers or whatever. But what about grown ass adults who are putting politicians on a pedestal? Like, don't you know better?
I 100, dude. I remember even with Obama, I liked Obama, but the way people would sort of revere him is almost this like holy figure. Like, no, he's just a dude. He's
just a dude.
What I mean? I remember even in media, Joss Whedon, like people wear these shirts like Joss Whedon is my God or whatever. And it's just like, what? Like,
you were just asking to be disappointed.
Exactly. And we all need to do that. These people aren't gods or whatever. Like, they're just people. And like, we can like some of the things we do, but we have to have the perspective when they do something that we don't agree with and we know doesn't pass a sniff test. We haven't like put them in some sort of point where we're like, well, I'm going to ignore that. Yeah.
I mean, and that's where we're at, right? Because what we're seeing right now is suddenly the free speech warriors are silent. And why? Because their guy who they like is doing this thing, and so I better shut my trap. And it's like, look, life is gray. I mean, it'd be nice if it wasn't, but more often than not, you're trying to choose between different shades of gray.
Yep.
Right. But there are some things there it's pretty clear cut.
Yeah.
And it's gratifying when something is as clear cut.
Yeah.
Right? And I think standing for the First Amendment is that as first principles go, that's not a bad place to be, Yeah. So that's all of what's going on right now. Anyway, like I said, this is a developing story, and I suspect by the time we record our next episode, our next regular episode, we'll have some clarity.
Yeah, I'm very curious where this will go.
We'll know if Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers still have shows,
Right.
So on SNL, who's going to be playing, if Channing Tatum is their Donald Trump of record, we know he got to them too,
I'm very curious. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're right. I'm very curious when they come back. They have a lot to work with, and I'm very curious how they work with it.
I mean, when it comes to Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers, both of those shows are under Lorne Michaels' aegis, and he has a lot of power at NBC. So, that I suspect they are, to whatever extent they have his protection, But that doesn't really mean much when we're talking about broadcast licenses and things like that. Things the government should not be doing, but now are suddenly in play.
Right.
We'll see. Watch this space.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, hold on 1 second here. I'm just seeing this pop up right now. I guess Conan O'Brien tweeted something about this, which is kind of unusual for him because he doesn't always.
Conan, a desperate nation turns.
Yeah, right.
Turns to you. Give us guidance, Conan.
Well, and his brand, usually is just sort of
apolitical.
Yeah, apolitical. So anyway, he just wrote, the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel and the promise to silence other late night hosts for criticizing the administration should disturb everyone on the right, left, and center. It's wrong, and anyone with a conscience knows it's wrong.
This is on Twitter?
Yeah. Literally, I guess this just came out while we were recording.
Oh, wow. Okay. And he doesn't usually chime in on this stuff, like you said. So that is itself interesting.
Yeah, and I love it because I feel like he just distilled everything I was trying to say into basically 2 sentences. So, and I really do. I appreciate that. I think that's really what we're getting at here too. Speaking to this specifically, this isn't about right, left, or center. This is just about reason. Well, and thank you, Conan, for putting it so well.
I think this is appropriate because the man who Conan replaced on the late night show, he also chimed in.
Oh,
David Letterman. This was at the Atlantic Festival 2025. This is on Thursday, New York, and he says, "This is misery." Talking about Jimmy Kimmel being canceled. He says, "I feel bad about this. We see where this is all going, correct? It's managed media and it's no good. It's silly. It's ridiculous. And you can't go around firing somebody because you're fearful or trying to suck up to an authoritarian criminal administration in the Oval Office. That's just not how this works. In the world of somebody who is an authoritarian, maybe a dictatorship, sooner or later, everyone is going to be touched." Look at this. He added, "The institution of the President of the United States ought to be bigger than a guy doing a talk show." I mean,
yeah.
I
think that should sound reasonable to anybody.
Yeah, right. He says, specifically Kimmel being fired. This is the quote. "It was predicted by our president right after Stephen Colbert got walked off. So you're telling me this isn't premeditated on some level?"
That's Letterman.
Yeah, that is Letterman.
Yeah.
I'm just reading Letterman's quotes, and you hear it in his voice.
I know. I'm like, I can see him.
He's, I was talking to you before about how Brennan Carr is like, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way." This is Letterman. He says, "Who's hiring these goons? Mario Puzo?"
That's pretty good.
Man, I miss Dave too.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Hey, here's something. I was gonna say some better news, but this is not. I mean,
yeah.
It is sad news, but it is something to celebrate, I would say.
Mm-hmm. A life to celebrate.
The life of Robert Redford. This is one of those headlines that, I mean, obviously the older somebody get, you're gonna read that eventually, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of those headlines I never hoped I'd read.
Yeah. I never thought about it, frankly.
To me,
always been there.
Right. I was like, he's eternal. He's like Mount Rushmore.
Right.
And so he did pass away at age 89 this past week. And I have to say, I mean, first of all, a long life, well lived,
mm-hmm.
well loved. And I think a model of how to live,
Mm-hmm.
This is something that you and I were texting about a little bit, and somebody had posted this on social media. I don't remember who it was, but essentially talking about all the people, all the female actors who he appeared alongside, coming out and just really being quite gracious in their praise for him, talking about him as a co-star, as a person. And when you looking the way he did, especially during the peak of his stardom, when he was at the peak of his stardom, the era, when you think of all the heinous stuff that he conceivably could have gotten away with, you don't hear anything.
Right.
And I think that's a reflection of the fact that he was just a decent person.
Right.
And it's the same thing about Paul Newman, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But definitely it feels like the end of some kind of an era.
Yeah, and it's kind of impressive now that I think about it. Because Brad Pitt often gets compared to Robert Redford,
right,
like being like the Robert Redford of another generation. Yeah. And I was kind of fascinated thinking about him starring as the old person, in quotes, in F1.
In F1, yeah.
And to me,
he was playing the Robert Redford in Sneakers role.
Yes, and he's older. Brad Pitt is older in F1 than Robert Redford was in Sneakers.
Is that right?
Absolutely wild. Just by a couple of years, but
oh my God.
Right? So for younger kids, they might go see F1 because it's cool and it's a fast race car movie or whatever. And to them, that's like an elder actor that they're maybe being introduced to and being like, "Oh, what else this guy been in? 12 Monkeys?
That is
interesting."
Crazy.
Right?
That is crazy.
So I mean, but Robert Redford was kind of that for me. Like the first movie I saw of his was Sneakers.
Oh, it was Sneakers.
Yeah, because I think I was 12 or something when that came out. So I saw it. I was like, I like this guy, and then you start singing more things, and your parents are like, "Oh, Butch Cassidy," kind of a thing. And then in college, I did journalism for a little while, and they showed us All the President's Men and The Sting and all these things, and The Natural, and so you know what I mean. Like he was kind of like
you got a crash course.
Yeah, well, so I mean, he kind of crossed generations in an interesting way.
Yeah.
You know?
When I think my first concept of Robert Redford was I had a book when I was a kid. It was like a guide to movies. It was there used to be this magazine called Dynamite. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It was like a kids magazine.
Yes, I do remember. Was that through Scholastic Book Club?
It was.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I figure some people listening might remember that. So they used to have little books too. So they had Dynamite's Guide to the Movies. And I got that book. I was probably 7, 8, something like that. And I just imbibed that shit, man. Like that's, probably my origin story right there.
That's
how
so
movies are made and all the stuff. This is a list of great movies, which included Planet of the Apes, by the way, I should say.
Hey.
I remember that. But anyway, it said it included a poster where you can star in a blockbuster with Robert Redford.
A poster?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
how
so
did that
basically,
work?
it was like a fold-out poster, and it was like a painted thing, and it was like an earthquake or something, and there's like a painting of Robert Redford and a kid. And at the top of the thing, it says Robert Redford, and then there's like letters that are like lick and stick letters in that same font. And so you can stick your name alongside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I didn't know who Robert Redford was, but I was like, oh, he must be a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then probably, I think, God, I'm trying to think, like, what was the first Robert Redford movie I watched? I can't remember. But that book was my first exposure to him, for sure.
That's kind of a funny conceit, isn't it? That poster,
Yeah.
You keep the letters for your names in like a made-up movie. I'm guessing. I don't know of an earthquake.
Yeah,
movie.
it's like Blockbuster or something like that. It was called.
Oh, that's funny.
But he was a star. From before I was born, all throughout my life.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Yes.
Right. And when you think of the number of people who are able to span that length of time, I mean, it's a very short list. Right. I mean, his last screen appearance was Avengers Endgame.
Was it really?
Yeah. That was just 6 years ago.
Wow. How wild. Even he got into the Marvel universe.
Well, that's the funny thing, because I mentioned his passing in my class this past Tuesday. So it was, that the news came up that morning, and this afternoon I'm teaching, and they didn't know his name. And I was like, oh, he's the in Captain America Winter Soldier, he's the villain. Like, oh, that's, and he even said he did that movie because of his grandkids, right?
That's nice.
So it is like a little slice of extra immortality,
Well, and for people who are listening now and might still not be quite familiar with him, you may know him from one of my favorite memes from the movie Jeremiah Johnson,
where people think he's Zach Galifianakis. Yes,
exactly. It's like this real shaggy-haired, bearded woodsman who's looking almost into camera and just sort of like has this subtle smile and a nod, like, "Hey, thanks." Like kind of a nod, which gets sent a lot. I didn't even know that when I first saw it, by the way. I didn't know who it was, and then found out that that's Robert Redford.
Yep. So an amazing run. There's a great quote that's been making the rounds from him, and I just wanted to share that. So this is from 2017, an interview with Esquire UK, and they asked him how he'd like to be remembered. It was 2017, so he's kind of nearing the end, right? And he says, for the work, what really matters is the work, and what matters to me is doing the work. I'm not looking at the back end. What am I going to get out of this? What's going to be the reward? I'm just looking at the work, the pleasure of being able to do the work. And that's what the fun is. To climb up the mountain is the fun, not standing at the top. There's nowhere to go, but climbing up, that struggle, that to me is where the fun is. That to me is the thrill. And that's something.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about like good advice for life. Like never stop climbing, But here's the important thing. He climbed, but he helped other people up.
I was going to bring that up. Yep.
Right. And this is the key thing. I mean, and we'll talk about some of our favorite movies of his, but the key massive part of his legacy is the Sundance Film Festival.
Yep.
which when you look at some of the greatest movies of the last 40 years, they emerged on the scene because of Sundance.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Robert Redford saying, the studio system is not enough to allow great artists to get their work out. So Pulp Fiction, or Reservoir Dogs, certainly, Smoke Signals, Hoop Dreams. This is just off the top of my head. The Predators, the movie I just saw. These are all Sundance movies,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
And it's harder to imagine now, because sometimes at Sundance there'll be these like multi-million-dollar films already packed with stars.
Right.
But back in I don't remember exactly when it started, but like maybe late 80s, early 90s. I mean, we're talking filmmakers nobody knew, working on budgets of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Clerks, frankly. I mean, it's hard to remember because everyone knows Kevin Smith now and he's like everywhere. But like Clerks was like a movie made for like $25,000.
It started in 78, by the way.
Oh, 78. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know Sex, Lies, and Videotape came from there too.
Yep.
Like 80s. But, I mean, like Clerks was just like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to remember, but that was like literally a guy that worked at a convenience store that got all the money he could muster, made a thing in black and white that looked terrible, but was pretty good. And he got it into Sundance, and now, you get Kevin Smith. And of course, I mean, movies like Little Miss Sunshine, like I said, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, Steven Soderbergh, Whiplash. It shined. And Pulp Fiction, of course, Reservoir Dogs. You know what I mean? Like these weren't inevitable.
That's right.
These had a light shined on them thanks to the Sundance Film Festival.
A film festival named after, of course, one of his most famous characters, the Sundance Kid, which I was rewatching parts of that movie yesterday, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. What a joy that movie is.
Yeah.
Watching these two great actors just at their peak,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both of them. Honestly, I was missing Paul Newman too watching that movie.
Yeah. That's one I need to revisit. It's been a while. I had recently revisited Sneakers.
Okay. Yeah. You mentioned. Well, and you and I, the last time we saw each other, we happened to watch a Robert Redford movie.
That's right. Yes.
How about that?
A lesser known one, The Last Castle.
The Last Castle, and you talk about a perfect example of his understated stardom.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's not a very showy performance, but it's a very comfortable Robert Redford performance, and he's just effortlessly charismatic.
Yeah.
Which suits the character he's playing, but it's also him just sliding in here. And he plays a guy who sort of, the foments a rebellion at a prison, but he plays a guy who you're like, I'd follow this guy. And he does it masterfully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as we're talking then filmography, last night I watched All the President's Men, and he's doing that same thing, but in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like his style. Well, and for, people who haven't seen that movie, it's a true story about two journalists, Bob Woodward, Carl Bernstein, and they begin reporting about the break-in at the Watergate Hotel in 1972 and discover a conspiracy that goes all the way up to the White House. And they're, these two guys just spirit and gumming their way in the 70s without the technology that we have now, doing detective work to try to get the clues and the evidence and the hooks that they need for their story. And it's not just that, but they need to confirm all these details. And they have these really clever ways that they figure out how they're going to like speak to these other human beings to coax confirmations out of them in unconventional ways. And watching Redford's performance, just being this like, like he's got it's not a desperation, but he's eager, but he knows how to be very comfortable too and deal with people. Like Hoffman's character, Bernstein, is a little more forceful and makes people a little bit more uncomfortable at times, but Redford has this ease. He's able to put all these people at ease and make them relax and tell him what he wants to get out of them. And it's just so fun to watch. And then there's this, incredible scene that's like uncut for about 6 or 7 minutes, where Redford he's fielding phone calls, like juggling multiple phone calls, trying to get at the heart of something he's trying to figure out. And you're just watching it, you sort of take for granted, like when you watch a movie and you got these different cuts, which is normal and that's perfectly fine. But you're able to get the best moments out of several different takes.
Right.
But when you're watching a guy for 6 minutes straight and the camera is just slowly zooming in on him and you're watching him, not being very completely comfortable, but having to present as comfortable on the phone to people to try to get the information that he wants out of them. And there's like even a moment where he stumbles and he says the wrong name to someone, but then he gets it back. And he doesn't have in that moment, you don't have the luxury of different takes to get the best little eye twitches out of him or the moments where he seems confident, but then he loses it for a second. Like it's just all 6 minutes of a human being in that moment. And just watching him do it, he exudes like a confidence, but it's not a superhuman confidence. It's just like a competency. And it's amazing to watch. And I'd highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't seen that film.
It really, I mean, I'm a sucker for investigative journalism movies.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking about Spotlight earlier, but this is very much any investigative journalism movie is going to be measured against All the President's Men.
Yeah, it's a real process film. So for people who enjoy okay, well, they need this. Well, how are they going to do that? Well, first, all they have is this little nugget, this little clue, these initials. So they have to make, 50 phone calls.
Yeah.
And most of them are going to yield nothing. But that one call will give you this one little nugget, which will lead you to having to go to the library to go look through checkout cards, which it's riveting to watch and to know what, at the beginning, people didn't even believe in what they were doing.
Right.
And they were getting pushback, but we know where it goes. And so it's fun watching them not give up and watching all the sweat that they have to endure to get to their end result.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, I mean, that movie was Redford's baby.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I went on Wikipedia and all the stuff last night, sort of looking into the history of it. I didn't know that. Yeah,
I mean, he was involved. I mean, he bought the rights. He put the whole thing together. And so you see his fingerprints on it. So it wasn't much of a leap going from that movie to his eventual career as a director.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, that's like a whole separate aisle of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing films. I mean, first of all, Ordinary People. Have you seen Ordinary People?
I haven't.
Oh, you got a good movie waiting for you.
Yeah.
Just it's a performance piece,
Mm-hmm.
Donald Sutherland's amazing in it. Timothy Hutton won an Oscar for that, I'm pretty sure. That one, best picture, best director. So it's his first movie out the chute, and he got which Hollywood loves awarding actor directors.
Sure.
But he did a good job with that. But Quiz Show.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen Quiz Show.
I have, but it's been a while. I actually made a little bit of a list of movies of his I wanted to revisit, and that's one of them.
Quiz Show I watch just about every year, a couple times a year, because I screen that in one of my classes.
Oh, interesting.
So, I mean, he was just a very good director,
Mm-hmm.
I saw this great video a couple days ago of Scarlett Johansson talking about working with him on The Horse Whisperer,
mm-hmm.
Because he acted in and directed that. And she was like 12, I think. And just talking about how, he would be so focused on the creative side, on the setting the camera up, but then he was fully available to talk to the actors and help them get their performances out. And I mean, that's the unique ability you have when you are an actor director,
mm-hmm.
to be able to do that,
Yeah.
There's so many movies. It's hard to just pluck out of there. Actually, we've talked about Spy Game many a time.
Yes, which is another one I'd like to revisit. I saw that multiple times in its moment.
Okay.
Because I liked it a lot, but I haven't seen it in a while. But I remember really liking that.
That one, well, I want to come back next year and do a commentary track for that.
Sure.
Because Tony Scott, I mean, that's like peak Redford, peak Tony Scott, got something really special.
Mm-hmm.
But when we look at the last decade of his career, he ended on, in terms of starring roles, the Old Man and the Gun.
Yep.
Which you saw that, right?
I did, yeah. I remember watching that on an airplane.
Yeah, David Lowery directed it. That was again just a showcase for this guy. But in 2013, my favorite movie of that year was All Is Lost.
I wanted to bring. That's the one I keep when I'm talking to people about this. That's the one I keep bringing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sneakers.
I remember I was a real pain in the ass to you about watching that.
Yeah, but I mean, you were right. I mean, it was so up my alley. I mean, it's a real survival film, right? Where you're just spending time with a guy in a life raft, figuring out how he's going to survive, and it's just him. I think I read that the script is only 32 pages, because there's not a lot of dialogue, but you're watching a guy who's very compelling to watch, just moment by moment figuring out how he's going to try to survive.
Yeah, other than his dialogue, like through a radio, like, Mayday or whatever he says, he has one other line of dialogue, which is just at the top of his lungs.
I forgot about yeah.
What are some of his other films that come to mind for you?
Well, I mentioned it already, but Sneakers. I mean, that was the first one that I saw, and it hit me at just one of those ages where you start watching movies that are a little bit older, intended for an older audience, but you are starting to connect with things like that.
Yeah.
It's just this, for people who haven't seen it, it's like this one of a kind thriller.
Just a caper.
It's a caper, and it's like Sidney Poitier and Dan Aykroyd, River Phoenix, it's just Mary McDonnell and Robert Redford, obviously. It's just so many people in that film. And it's this really fun caper. Yeah, about a gang of like skilled techno and security expert misfits who are threatened by the government to steal something for them. And it just goes from there. And it's just like their dynamic as they work together is fun because they're such different characters. But there's also this really cool, like early 90s, what we would now think of as like lo-fi spycraft, where it's not like
back then was highest of high tech.
Yeah. But what I mean by that is like they don't have a computer. Like I think of just off the top of my head, Italian Job, where someone from a laptop can just change all the stoplights or something. Like for them, it's like, we need to get this box out of a room, and you can't walk faster than this or an alarm will go off. And you can't be at a temperature higher than this or an alarm, or lower than this, alarm will go off. So it's really, I think of the scene all the time. There's this slow speed chase of Robert Redford with the item in his hand in a room where he can't go over like 3 miles per hour. So he's slowly going, and the room has been raised to body temperature so it won't detect him in there. And all the while you cut to all these like guys running up the stairs who are ready to pounce on him, and he can't go any faster and he's got to get out of that room. It's just like a really, really fun movie. And I've been endeared to it forever. And it's funny because I feel like it got forgotten about for a while. It just wasn't rerunning on TV, and I just never heard people talking about it. I don't even remember it coming out on Blu-ray or anything, but it was playing at the New Beverly a couple of years ago, and I got to go, and it was just cool being in a theater full of people who all chose to watch Sneakers that day. And then I feel like even before Redford's passing, I've been hearing it come up a little bit more often. And recently a group of my friends, we watched it again together, and it's just, I don't know, it's this gem that I think people would really enjoy if they sought it out.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Yeah, there is, there's a tendency to call it underrated, and I've always said I don't think it's underrated. I think it's generally admired. But yeah, one other movie actually, while we were talking about 70s political thrillers, is 3 Days of the Condor.
That's a movie I've had in my DVR for like 2 years.
Oh,
and I haven't seen it.
Clear out your DVR, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Redford and Warren Beatty had sort of these parallel heartthrob careers, and they both did like similar movies around the same, So like for Redford, it was 3 Days of the Condor. Right around then, Warren Beatty did The Parallax View. Similar but different. But, there is that sense of like, here's these two handsome heartthrob guys who are trying to prove that they're more than just a pretty face. And so they find a very successful sidelight as filmmakers in their own right.
Right. Yeah.
Very similar in that regard,
It's funny. I have parallax view in my DVR also. To me, I mean, admittedly,
seems like that's the fastest way to make sure you don't watch something is to have it in your DVD.
It's funny. I mean, I like it that way because it does become like a list for me. So then when I'm looking for something, I can flip through there and I see all the tiles of the things I've like sort of saved. But like, I would say like the 70s is a pretty big blind spot for me. I feel like I'm catching up on my 70s films, so I'm happy I have those waiting.
About 24 years ago when I first saw The Godfather, that really lit a spark in me for 70s cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was when I really began a deep dive into a lot of this stuff. Because I saw 3 Years of the Condor, then French Connection, hell, Rocky. I think it's the first time I saw Rocky the whole way through.
Sure. You've been kind of, now that I think about it, pretty instrumental in leading me through the 70s. I mean, The Conversation I watched because of you.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And then
that's a good movie.
Well, and then I remember Sorcerer, which in the past 10 years, that was one of those, like a Friedkin movie that had kind of been lost. I think it wasn't available for a while. And then they restored it, put it on Blu-ray. And just on the strength of everybody's opinions on it, I just bought it like a blind buy. And I love that movie. So it's just like,
rewatch that.
Oh, it's so good. And so it's fun. It's kind of like there's this whole like toy chest of films that are really good that I have yet to discover that I look forward to enjoying.
I mean, it's such a unique era, right? Especially when contrasted with the era we came up in.
Very different, yes.
Very much so, right? Because and for us too, like it's, I wonder how 90s kid view 80s movies the way we view 70s movies, Yeah,
I don't know. Possibly, there's a great Family Guy joke. I don't remember the exact specifics, but the family's watching a movie and it's like some guy is like trying to figure out a conspiracy. And
I know it's this.
He's like, I got it. And he runs out of the steps of a library and he's like, I solved the thing. And then he gets shot and killed. And then it says like the end. And I think Peter's like, oh, it's a 70s movie. Because then in the 80s, it was all about like fantasy and all your dreams coming true,
Yeah, 70s was no dreams. Don't have dreams because they won't come true.
They will be squashed.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Robert Redford, I'm really glad we had this opportunity to really drill down and just appreciate, as somebody who was really essential in making this medium that you and I love so much, that's kept us here at our microphones for 13 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's an essential part of making it why we love it.
Definitely.
But hey, everybody, let us know your thoughts. What are some of your favorite Robert Redford memories? You can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. As always, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, leave a star rating. Every little bit helps. Also, if you're listening to us on YouTube, please subscribe and hit like and leave a comment on there. We do read them on here. We also have a Patreon page, Brian.
Yes, if you head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and hit subscribe for only $5 a month, you'll find every commentary we've ever done and every episode moving forward absolutely ad-free. Our free feed will always be available, but this is our way of providing what we believe is the most satisfying way to enjoy the show. So no random interruptions or ad breaks. Plus, your subscription goes a long way in helping to support us and helping to sustain producing this show. So if you're interested and able, please head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and subscribe. We'd be very grateful.
And if you're looking for me online, you can find me on social media at Zacky's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. You can also find my writing and reviews at the San Francisco Chronicle and also at IGN and The Wrap. What about you, Brian?
You can find episodes I've written of Puppy Dog Pals and Young Jedi Adventures. Fun for the whole family. They're streaming over at Disney+.
Well, with that, on behalf of my partner, Brian Hall, my name is Zachy Hassan. This has been Movie Film 326. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, folks.
Welcome, friends. It's the Movie Film Podcast. Enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Super Sale and get 40% off paints and stains September 19th through the 24th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.